What's up, everybody? Ryan Thomas here live on YouTube and Facebook. Bring you another edition of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, and I'm happy to be on here on both during the simulcast of the Thomas Take. I'm going to try to do these as much as I can, so that way I don't have to share as much. That way I don't have to post as much links, as many guys in terms of like a buzzworthy week in Buffalo sports history. I can't remember a week that has gone this well, you know, in terms of fans wanting something and actually getting it in Buffalo sports history. Buffalo Bills fans wanted the quarterback. They got the quarterback. They want a damn good linebacker. Wanted depth. They got Harrison Phillips. They got Neal. They got Teller. They got Ricky Proehl's young buck. They got some decent players in this year's draft. But there was another storyline that Bills and Sabres fans were keeping their eyes peeled on, and that was the Buffalo Sabres and whether or not they would win the 2018 NHL draft lottery. The Sabres have been reamed, raked over the coals, whatever you want to call it, in previous years where they finished dead shell, and they still come up empty in terms of winning the NHL draft lottery. We always can go back to the Reinhart year. There was there an Ekblad. Ekblad went first, I think. And then Buffalo took Sam Reinhart. And then the next year, where Buffalo had been tanking, they were far and away the worst team in the National Hockey League. Eichel and McDavid, the McDavid-Eichel year. Edmonton wins the draft lottery. Jack Eichel goes to Buffalo. And I like Eichel. I'm not complaining about that, but would have been nice to get the first pick. The team that is the worst team in the National Hockey League should get the first pick. It's just, I hate the idea of the draft lottery. I think it's really stupid, and I think it's getting old, frankly. Like, I know why they do it. They want to avoid tanking. They want to avoid teams just. But most of the time, the teams that have to tank are actually that bad, and it's their saving grace. If they're going to finish last, they might as well do it, you know, in devastating fashion. You know, winning, finishing last, I guess. I don't know what to call it. But this process is going to be very interesting because the number one player in this draft, far and away, in my opinion, is Rasmus, defenseman, Swedish defenseman who moves like a pass, can shoot from the point, from every angle. I mean, he's a true offensive defenseman and obviously can play defense very well, being that he's a defenseman. So the Sabres have desperately needed somebody to come in and be that guy that they can lean on as the number one. Remember a few years back, they had a guy by the name of Tyler Myers who had a great rookie year but kind of fell off a cliff that they sent back, and I think a little bit too soon. He is still playing for the team that they traded him to, the Winnipeg Jets, playing in the playoffs. So ever since then, they got Rasmus Ristolainen. They had Nikita Zadorov, who they sent back in for Ryan O'Reilly. There's been a lot of interchanging parts to this Buffalo Sabres team that over the last few years, if they could get one constant, one player, that one franchise defense player on offense that they already have in Jack Eichel, my expectations for the Sabres actually dramatically increase just based on this one move. There's also Brady Tkachuk, who has, you know, ties to the NHL with his father, played in the juniors in Buffalo, had that famous moment where he said Bills Mafia. Philip, no problem, buddy. Love to keep you guys up to date. And that's going to be the question. I think the pick's going to be Dahlin. I don't see any way, shape, or form that the pick won't be Rasmus Dahlin, just based on the Sabres' needs and just based on what they have to go at, what they need to go after. I mean, their defense has been atrocious, just an atrocious mess the last few seasons, and their coaches have changed. How pro NHL Hall of Famer, whatever you want to call him, is in Buffalo, leading the team, making things happen, trying to put his best foot forward. And as many stubborn, ignorant Buffalo fans as there are, which there's a population out there, there is with every city, that wanted Phil Housley gone in year one. I'm here to, obviously he's not going anywhere. So if they can get in a defensive player that can fit Housley's system, which I think Dahlin can fit any system, that will have Phil Housley basically salivating at the mouth, hoping that this kid is the X factor that the Sabres need. They need a lot. I think they need a goalie. I think they need more youth, more healthy players, guys that are fresh, that want to play in the National Hockey League, that can play hungry. What I mean by that is obviously getting rid of the guys like Zach Bogosian and Josh George, a lot that have a high cap number, that are veterans, that they don't necessarily, the young talents are just stockpiling down there, that it would actually benefit them to kind of break that up a bit and bring some of those guys up and get those guys acclimated to the National Hockey League and to the superstar players that they have. You really want to look at the core four of the Buffalo Sabres, or even beyond that. Obviously, Jack Eichel comes to mind. Obviously, Sam Reinhart comes to mind. Obviously, Casey Middlestat comes to mind. Alex Nylander comes to mind. All four of those players were first-round draft, were top 10 draft choices, two of which were top 2 draft choices. So the Sabres have been bad for a long time. And now as you start to look at the roster, it's actually starting to help them, the fact that they have been bad this long, because that I believe were the right ones. There's a lot of naysayers out there about Alex Nylander, saying that he's not fast enough, he's not this, he's not that. Pump the brakes on that. I'm not ready to call him a bust just yet. Casey Middlestat is a stud. I think he provided a little bit of an extra boost of adrenaline to their lineup. And Reinhart, really, for all the flack that he's received, Reinhart played better. But I thought that them losing Evander Kane would hurt in every which way, and not for Sam Reinhart at least. So a lot to take in there. Linus Ullmark too at goalie, young, very young goaltender, but I do like what I've seen from him thus far, and I do think that the Sabres can be that team. It was very interesting. I was listening to Jason Bottrill on One Bills Live, which was pretty cool. And Bottrill was talking about how they have to bring up as many players as they can, find out which ones fit their scheme. See that there will be change. Didn't go into what changes will be made, but he definitely guaranteed that there will be change at Seymour Knox Plaza for the Buffalo Sabres. I've never, it's a well-known secret, I've never been a big fan of Ryan O'Reilly. He's a guy that I'm just not a fan of. I kind of went off on him when I saw the thing about how he fell out of love with hockey. If I was getting paid millions of dollars to play a sport that I'm good at, I don't know how I could fall out of love with that, but, to each his own, I guess. So in here is fun with the think they're going to go after Dahlin. There's a lot of, or Dahlin, as Andrew Peters said. Dahlin, I'm calling him Dahlin. If it's wrong, I'm sorry. But Rasmus Dahlin definitely improves things. I want to read a little bit of his scouting report. And this kid's only 18 years old. So you have all these players that are so talented that are not even 23 yet. He was suspended today, too, for removing one of his silver medals off of his neck. That was pretty stupid. I saw that today. Let me take a look here. I want to read. He's compared to Nicholas Lindstrom, who's definitely one of the best ever. Let me take a look here. He's the next great NHL blue line talent. EliteProspects.com. You have end-to-end guy like that. You're really able to make things happen on the ice that I think are going to be really exciting for Sabres fans. Let me just move this over here. Dahlin is a smart two-way defenseman who can play in any situation. He is a terrific skater and stick handler who can rush the puck or join the attack in a hurry. Impressive agility makes him a good one-on-one defender. He has fine passing ability, and although not a big-time bomber, he has an accurate shot from the point, not one to shy away from the physical game. He's a young player. He must learn to make the sim. Born in 2000 in Trollhättan, Sweden. 18 years old, 183 pounds. Ranked the #1 prospect by HockeyProspect.com, ISS Hockey, Future Considerations, McKean's Hockey, and NHL Central Scouting. So obviously far and away, unequivocally the best player in this draft, but there's definitely talent in this draft, but I think he's probably the #1 talent. Jack Jury, I'm wondering if he is any relation to Chris Jury. His uncle is Chris Jury. That's pretty cool. Harvard University. Call him John. That's cool. I did not know that. So, I mean, there's players, but just like the rest, I mean, it's only a matter of time before we find out, who they'll take. And I think it's going to be Dahlin, but I really hope it's going to will take Rasmus Dahlin. I think they will. And I'm pretty that they finally won the NHL draft lottery, which is one of the dumbest things in pro sports today.